All right, we have 4:30, so we'll call the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Friday the 24th of February, 2023, to order. It is 4:30. We have a number of items on the agenda, but the person who was going to address the first item is not yet here. So
I'm on the line. Hello.
Oh, okay.
Rick
sorry. Okay, great. All right. Well, that's wonderful. We will. Mr. Richard Prendergast is on the line. At a previous Selectmen meeting, I had the resolution, but we didn't have adequate detail. So I thought by having you lead us through this, we have an authorization resolution which is required to obtain Clean Water Fund financing for the water pollution abatement facilities. And I'll just read it. It says, be it resolved that in the best interest of the town of Old Lyme to enter into contracts with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection in furtherance of this resolution, Timothy Grizzle, first Selectman, town of Old Lyme, is duly authorized to enter into and sign said contracts on behalf of the town of Old Lyme, Connecticut. The first Selectman is further authorized to provide such additional information and execute such other documents as may be required by the state or federal government in connection with said contracts, and to execute any amendments, rescissions, and revisions thereto. Then the town clerk is authorized to press and she would acknowledge it and so forth. And then it is an accompanying document, the incumbency certificate, which just reaffirms that I, as first Selectman, Matt Ward, as Selectman, Shoemaker, Selectman, are in fact in office, I guess you'd call it. So, Rich, I guess with that, I believe you said you need something, maybe the others, I guess something similar to this was done in 2019.
Yeah, so I hope everyone can hear me okay. So this is not the first time we've signed this. Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So this is not the first time we've signed this, and it's not the last time we're going to sign this. So I just had a meeting with the funding expert from Wood & Kern, the engineering firm that we hired. So we signed this before as part of the plan, so they started the design. We're signing this now, and then we're submitting the design for the Soundview area sewer construction, and it's the design for it. And we're also signing this that include, we had some studies, if you remember, to study original amendments, and then another amendment when we changed the plan from going from putting a community system to behind Cherry Stones to doing a sewer to New London. Then we had adjustments for Phase 1 and Phase 2 of doing an evaluation in the Hawks Nest neighborhood, which is not yet complete. So we have these Clean Water Fund applications. We're going to hopefully sign these. We submit it. We have all these designs then approved. Then we'll be coming back in maybe a month or two, depending on when they're approved, to ask to do the same thing again. I don't know why we're asked to sign these again and again, but that's a state requirement, and the state tells us to do this. And I could go through the numbers if you want, but maybe I'll be quiet now and if there's any questions.
So, Rich, it's Martha. You stated in your letter back on December 23rd that to Tim that it might be up to $100,000, depending on allowed expenses. It says, "We will include these with our application for CT Deep for clean water funding for reimbursement of plan expenses, maybe $100K depending on allowed expenses, and for the Soundview sewer design and bidding expenses." So basically, have we been signing this agreement every few years for $100K?
It's not a new 100K. It's
No, I
the
know
adjustment. So we've been signing it for different stages, and the stages are you have an idea, you submit a plan, and then you complete the plan, and you have acceptance of the plan, and then you sign another one when you want to go out and spend some money to go go for bids, to that kind of thing. That's what we've been doing.
Okay, so Deep is funding this?
It depends. So they're funding plans at 55%, and they're
Okay.
giving a grant for 25% for the design of the sewer program.
Plans at 55. And then the town picks up the rest for the Soundview portion?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
The 25% being the Clean Water Fund share of 25% grant.
Right. I should also mention that there's a loan portion that we use, a 20-year loan at 2%. So the part that is still remaining, the Deep provides us a loan, which is also part of these signatures.
So how much have we taken out in a loan thus far?
So how about I go through the different stages, and I think that'll answer your question, because it's
Sure.
more comprehensive. Okay, so
I'm sorry, but this is our first time first time walking through this as select.
right, sure.
Okay.
So the components of the project, let me get my notes up. There's an Amendment 1, which was a plan, and that was for $77,000. This is 2017. Okay?
Mhm.
There's Amendment 3 for $24,948 to amend the plan. And
what was that?
we amended the plan.
I'm sorry, what was that amount again?
$24,948.
Thank you.
Then there's a Hawks Nest Phase 1 to evaluate some conditions and put in some site wells, some monitoring wells. That was $14,878.90. That was in 2017. Then Hawks Nest Phase 2 is $111,497. That was in 2018. That is to study, take samples out of the wells, and develop a report. We're not completely finished with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now this plays into all that I just said, plus the design of the Soundview area sewer system of $615,200.
200? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 615,200.
Okay, and that's the design, the Soundview.
That's the design for Soundview. Now,
What year?
we go ahead.
Which year? 218?
Say that again?
2018 again, or later?
2018. I think I don't have the exact date. I think it's older than that. And Wood & Kern has not raised the price on that. So they haven't done the work. They've done the work, but they haven't billed us for it. Now, there's one other part of that. That's $100,000 we put in for legal budget. We had $50,000. We raised it to $100,000 based on the advice of the Deep. And that is not to say we're going to spend that, but that's the bonding council, and the bonding council is kind of expensive. But they recommended we put that for a budget amount. So where we are with all this, if you add up all of this, the total project costs that we're talking about for these signatures is 943,974.70.
And that's the gross amount. And so
that's the gross amount, and I was going to go into, so on the gross amount, the local share, our share, the part that we have to pay, is 102,948.60. That's the town share, and that's not all at once. You know, there's a number of different items in there, but that's the part that we would pay. We would get from the state 279,626.1. That's how much money the state will give us as a grant.
How do you get to 943 if you take away the old Lime cost and the state cost? Would it be loans?
So the balance, Tim, you're a step ahead of me. The balance of the loan would be 560 or 561,400. So that would be a 20-year loan for that amount, this is all part of the sewer project at 615,200. So it's the sewer projects because it's the Hawk's Nest evaluation, it's the plan. So if you look at the grant amount, it comes out to like 29% because it's a mix of 25% grant and then some 55% grant.
So the 109, I guess the 279 is the state grant, right?
That's correct.
And that's the 29%er?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's a mix of the two different things, two different types of grants.
Okay.
So, Rich, what happens if, and I'm just saying this, it doesn't come to fruition because it's too expensive and we have to go to a different plan? We still owe them some money regardless, correct?
Well, we do, yes. And my committee voted to complete the study and complete the design. If we complete the design, we have something. So in a couple of years, we could say we have an approved design, and if we somehow find magical funding, we could do that. We also are legally obligated because we signed a contract to do that. Okay. So by doing this, we get a loan for 20 years at 2% for the majority of the money.
Okay.
And we have some news about the project that it looks like we have some promising news on the funding, but I'll leave it to the selectmen to see if it's too early to tell, because we don't have it in writing. We have it in a discussion.
I think we'd probably not want to make a public statement. They didn't say yes or no, the people we spoke with, but it seemed very early in the game, and rather than raise hopes and have something happen, maybe we go a little further to make sure we're on firm ground, because this is all FOI stuff and everything else, and we don't want to create expectations this early, I don't believe.
Okay.
So this particular resolution would cover all this that you just mentioned and just basically update it, renew it, so to speak, huh?
Yes, we've already signed this once. So we signed it to start the study. Now the design. Now, if we sign this, we can submit the design for the state. The state will approve it. The state may come back and say, we'd like you to change the design. That could happen. And once they approve the design, then they'll ask us to resubmit the whole thing all over again. And then we can go out to bid. And ultimately, our plan is we complete the contract with the design, we go out to bid, we get the bid. If the bid is competitive, great. If the bid is not competitive, we now have a way to talk to the state and say, look, unless we get funding, it's not economically feasible. And we go on. Now, the other part of that is we then go back and finish the Hawks Nest study, which we plan on finishing after the Soundview Sewer project is completed.
Now, when we went out to bid for the common infrastructure, how does that bidding process fit into this stuff?
So they've already done exactly what we're doing. They're just further ahead. They went out and they did the common part. They did the part that we're going to use, they did on our behalf. So they didn't charge us for it, but we promised to participate in the expenses in the future.
Okay, so the 3 private beaches embarked on that activity separate and distinct from this. This is just for the old Lime gravity sewer, basically?
Yes, it's just for Old Lime, Soundview, what I call the collection pipes from the houses down to the pump house. That's all.
So, Rich, I have a question, and I could have the information incorrect, but when we had, I think when you had the original meeting for the sewer ordinance, there was some discussion that there was testing done at Hawks Nest and that they had those results. Is this another study on top of that?
It's the same study. We have test results. We've done the things. We haven't completed the report, which you might say what the completion. The completion of the report is a submittal of what the findings are, and then it's submitting to the state and having them what they think. It also we've published all the results on the website, but they're considered a draft form until we finalize the report.
So that's why the phase 1 and the phase 2 for Hawks Nest, well, the first one was done. Phase 1 was done, correct?
Right, correct. So we've paid some of the money already, our share.
So basically, the phase 2, the $111,000, is what you'd be completing now?
Correct, and we've paid some of that already. So we've paid for the sampling tests ourselves. Yeah. We budgeted for it, and we could. We haven't paid the engineering firm.
Okay, and that's Curran, right?
That's, Woodard and Curran.
Thank you.
They haven't invoiced us either because I asked them not to. Mm-hmm. Once they invoice it, it goes on our books, and financially, we are advised if it goes on our books, we pay it.
Okay. So by signing this document that that Tim will sign, and will be recorded, basically, it's just saying that these are the numbers, the numbers that we're agreeing to, and that they're basically our loan officer. Is that kind of a summary?
Yes, our loan officer and our grant officer.
Okay.
If we don't sign it, we don't get the grant money.
I get it.
Yeah.
I kind of like those things with I's dotted and T's crossed.
Yeah, I know it's complicated because it's 101 pages, application.
Okay. Matt, anything?
No, I think all my questions have been answered.
All right, then. After the discussion from Mr. Prendergast, we can entertain a resolution to authorize the Selectmen to sign the resolution.
I'll make a motion to have First Selectman Tim Griswold sign the authorizing resolution, which is required to obtain clean water fund financing for water pollution abatement facilities.
The second.
Any additional discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Rich, thank you very much for
Very
your time
good.
today.
Thank you. All right. Stay warm. I'm going to sign off now, Tim. Is that all right?
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. All right. Next item, Haynes Park Sidewalk. Robert Dunn, Chairman of the Parks and Recreation Commission, is familiar with this, and at the Board of Finance, there was some uncertainty as to just what this is and how it would be paid and so forth. So I talked offline with Bob, and it makes pretty good sense, so he's going to give us a brief rundown.
I will be brief. If I'm more than 5 minutes, tell me to stop. Okay. Well, as we all know, the boathouse was completed, and we noticed that Park and Rec Commission had a couple of issues that still had to be resolved, and those issues were the asphalt portion of the driveway, which leads from Route 1 down to the reinforced turf, which is supposed to drain all the water before it gets to the lake. Okay, it was supposed to come straight down. Well, that issue was whenever it rained substantially, because there was no lip on the asphalt portion, and it was angled in such a way that it washed onto the basketball court, that the basketball court had all types of mud over it and stuff like that. Because basically there's a lot of water that comes down Route 1, and if you look at the driveway that leads into the parking lot, there's a small lip that helps to keep some of the water on Route 1, and there's a major type drainage that the state put in way before my time down the street. Well, anyway, that caused a problem such that we contacted the Director of Facilities, Phil Parchik, and at that time, John Flower was still around, and he was the building inspector and also a Park and Rec Commissioner.
Can you give me a time frame here?
Yes, I will. The time frame is 2018.
Okay.
Okay, and it actually, I'm going to hand out a couple things to you. It goes back to 2018, and so at that time, Phil Parchik and John said, well, we got to get the water off the basketball court because it's going to undermine it. That Phil and I guess Public Works, they put some sort of little asphalt border and they rerouted the water by swaling and cutting a groove in such that it didn't go on the basketball court anymore. However, it runs down the side of the driveway, and the water doesn't run in the way it was intended to run. So that asphalt entrance to the driveway was improperly installed, such that Phil said he was going to take care of it, get the town to take care of it, and here you asked the time frame. He asked Anton Paving what they would charge to fix it properly, and if you look at that, July of 2018, I believe, the estimate at that point was about $3,500. We said that if we want to do it correctly, this has to be done, and he always assured us that it would be done. Well, for whatever reason, it wasn't done. The second issue we had with the completion of the boathouse project, and this is the Park and Rec Commission submitted many types of email to the first selectman at that point, Mr. Reemsnyder. that not only did that have to be fixed, but because the steep grant, which I believe I sent to you guys these pamphlets, and as you can see in these pamphlets, it's a requirement of the steep grant by the DEEP to ensure not only that the building is handicap accessible, but there's accessibility from handicap parking spots to the facility. Okay, so of course we couldn't do that right away because back in around 2018, Phil was put in charge of a small committee to rebuild a new restroom, which was supposed to be included in the original project.
And got pulled out.
Yeah, and yes, and the selectmen at that time, I don't know, and the Board of Finance gave $150,000 to do that, and they had some little bit of money left over from the original project. And that also included putting in handicap parking spots in the parking lot area there. So once the handicap parking spots were put in, the Park and Rec Commission wrote various emails to say that, well, the next step is we have to put in some sort of sidewalk to connect to the parking lot area, to the boathouse area. Now, both the building inspector, John Flower, and Phil Barczyk, who designed all this and went to the various committees in town, designed a sidewalk to run right next to the basketball court, which would then meet up with the reinforced turf. And the way they reinforced the turf is they had some sort of honeycomb type plastic
paver,
something under there.
Yep.
That not only reinforced the turf so they could bring the trucks in and this and that with the boats, but also it helped to absorb the water. But because of the bad design, the improper design of the driveway, the water wasn't going down there. The water was going to the basketball court and then also right down to the side of the driveway.
We are talking about the main entrance, right? When you talk about the entrance, you're talking about the main entrance that's
To the
open all
parking lot?
time.
No, the boathouse entrance.
the boathouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a driveway for the
Yep, I know,
boathouse.
I know.
Yeah, okay.
I've been there a million times.
Yeah, okay, good. You asked exactly when this was. I think the first official memo came out May 3rd of 2018 about how we had to address this drainage problem. Well, once the restrooms were completed and the handicap parking was completed, the two spaces down there, Phil drew up a draft that he submitted to Wetlands or whomever he had to within town to build this sidewalk. He went out and he got Macknick Brothers, a bid that he thought was acceptable, because I guess they used a lot in town, and to do this. And that bill was recently submitted. That we decided to go ahead with that at this point because we didn't want to interfere with the road people when any type of work down at that end. Now, when Macknick was building this, they noticed that the drainage problem was so bad that he was afraid that there's a last, I don't know, couple feet before you get to the reinforced turf. That he advised it wasn't good to put any more cement down unless the drainage problem and a lip was put on the driveway entrance to the boathouse. That he did not feel comfortable. We tried to get the concrete as close as we could to the reinforced, but he said, no, either you fix that or you can't have sidewalk there. And since then, we've decided, we just talked about it, Don Bugby, myself, and I even talked to John Flower up in Maine, who's in Maine now, that really the town has two options. One is to do the proper fix of fixing the asphalt kind of lip and surface after that so that the water drains the way it was intended to drain. And I don't know exactly why it didn't work like that, but the result was it drained onto the basketball court, and it's now draining on the side of the driveway. That there are two possible fixes. One, fix up the entrance to that driveway, which would cost probably a little more than $3,500 now. And then secondly, when he comes back to put in the concrete base for the pavilion, which is going to be over where the swing set is now, that he could then put more concrete in for a sidewalk up to the reinforced spot, or we could possibly just get that honeycomb material and put reinforced.
Because that's approved for handicap, right?
Yes, that's considered a hard surface, and both Phil and John both said that that's acceptable for handicap accessibility. So there was never an idea to put a sidewalk all the way to the building, because you wouldn't want anybody driving over it all the time, especially with bigger trucks. It wouldn't be particularly good for the sidewalk. And secondly, the water's going to run over it all the time. So the idea was if we just get it to the reinforced turf, then that would solve the handicap accessible problem that we had, the issue. It would be handicap accessible, that particular boathouse. So that's where we're at, and we're trying to protect the town.
The cost of the sidewalk install is $11,000.
It was $11,000.
And that was done when?
I think the bill came in at...
Yeah, the bill came in at the last Board of
But I
Finance.
mean, the actual work occurred
the
a month ago or something?
End of January.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or so, about.
January 30th or something.
January.
Oh, yeah,
21st,
okay. You
something
probably,
like that.
Yeah,
So really, the request of $11,000, which we were charged to deal with, should not only be that. There should be a discussion on correcting this lip at Route 1. So depending on, I mean, I don't know whether Public Works might have the capacity to do that or a contractor, but regardless, it seems like a two-part request, one to pay the $11,000 sooner than later, and then secondly to provide some additional money to do the lip repair.
And just to talk about Public Works, because I spoke again with Don Bowlby, was doing this and that. Well, they couldn't fix it properly. They helped Phil do what they had done just to get it, the water flailed away from the basketball court. And they actually cut a little ridge in to drain, so you have a little stream when it rains particularly heavily. There's actually a stream that comes in there. And there was never a lip. Actually the town has rules about if you descend into property, how you're properly supposed to install a driveway. And
do you believe you have to talk to, say, Eric Knapp about the design before it's done to make sure it's...
If we redo the lip and the entranceway, yes, by all means.
Yeah.
So I think my biggest concern is where did the approval come from for the money to pave that sidewalk in January? Because we haven't approved it since we were elected back in 21.
Well, this is, I can't answer the exact question as to why this was not fixed or why there doesn't seem to be a proper procedure, but because Bill always said the town will take care of it, and he was taking care of that. Now, I don't know what he did or what he didn't do, and so basically we said, well, let's go ahead. We have to do that for handicap accessibility at some point, and let's charge the town, see if the town takes it, and if not, we didn't want to use the money as an enhancement there's $59,000 or something from the rowers that raised funds after the boathouse was built.
For specific reasons that were in their fundraising campaign.
Yeah, and one of them was for the pavilion, which is
Right.
right on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other enhancements.
Playground, benches.
Yes, we're gonna get handicap, picnic benches put in the pavilion. So that is the major expense. And then we're actually at the next Park and Rec meeting on next Thursday. Skip Sibley, and I guess Skip was part of that fundraising committee. They're gonna come, and we're gonna talk about what future besides pavilion, that they may agree to and we agree to. But basically, when that money was raised, it was then town money, and they had made a couple recommendations, which we already approved, for a sign for the donors down there to use that money for that, and also they wanted a bike rack, which we got a bike rack. But basically, Park and Rec, as part of the town, is the one that makes the final decision on what has to be done down there.
I understand that,
Yeah.
or recommendations at least, but I think that this particular grant that was granted in 2013, signed off in 2014, and closed out, that it states in here where you highlighted, but according to the state of Connecticut, which I spoke to today, we do have 2 parking. Their consideration was in this plan that the 2 handicap spaces would be right next to the building, and they're not paved, and they don't have signage, but that was in the plan, so that you could drive in the second driveway and park in the 2 spaces that are next there, and the sidewalk is right there to take you into the building, or have access to.
Oh, they may, the strangest part of this whole deal, Martha, is because I've been involved with steep grants, like for the Townwoods Park and all, days way back, is that with all those plans, Tim and I had to go to Hartford, and they reviewed the plans and looked at things. Well, for the boathouse, for some reason, that never happened.
Well, they signed
something.
They sent us a check for the $424,000.
$478 it was, yes.
They sent us a check, and their people signed off saying that they checked for ADA compliance and everything on that before they sent the check. So that's all checked off in their box. But I just
There's
think
no sidewalk, how could they do that?
No.
there is a sidewalk. It goes around the building to the back door, and there were 2 spaces marked out, not marked like a parking lot because they don't want to pave in there because it's a park, but that where they were leveled out and that you can pull up right next to the boathouse, and the sidewalk takes you right around the building to the back door, which is handicapped accessible.
Well, that was never, the committee for the boathouse, they may have had that, but that was never part of the plan that was executed.
Well, I disagree with that, and we could certainly get the committee members here, but I'm pretty sure that that's the way it goes.
Well, why wasn't it done then? Because there was still 28,000, I think, from almost 900,000.
Well, I think that was reallocated toward the restroom.
That went, because there was 20,000 or
Something like that.
something left, and that was added to the 150, because 150 was not enough to do the bathroom and the handicap parking, and that was all the facilities director.
That's
was
fine.
in charge of that
I would
project.
just like in the future, because we are dealing with taxpayers' money, that somebody gets to this committee, Board of Selectmen, and says, hey, we're doing this, and it's going to cost you this, and we know where the money is coming from before the bill shows up. And so I know that Phil may have arranged all this, but he's not here, and he didn't follow a process. There should be a process that Phil, because Maria is here from Board of Finance, I think they were a little concerned that a bill showed up, and nobody had approved it. Nobody had approved the project.
I can understand where you're coming from, and I will do everything to make sure that never happens again.
Thanks.
However, when the facilities director told me that the town was going to take the responsibility to fix both these things, and I don't know what I don't know who talks to them. I'm not an employee, I'm a volunteer.
I know,
Okay.
and you dedicated, but you also, I know you talked to Tim,
Yes.
and you should let him say, hey, we're doing this, and a bill's gonna show up after we do it. And Tim,
I think the sidewalk was sort of out of the thin air. I guess it's to fulfill a requirement to provide handicap accessibility, but that was all after that wasn't even contemplated during the boathouse, I don't think, was it?
I was on the
Definitely.
boathouse committee.
After the boathouse.
I don't recall anything about putting handicap parking right
Near the building.
there's
Yeah.
no, well,
And I know it wasn't done because we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Is there a sidewalk going down the side of the building that faces Route 1? I thought there is a concrete along the front of the building, but nothing going back.
goes to the doorway in the back.
There's a
There is a
doorway in the back
sidewalk?
and it goes,
Sidewalk
yeah, it
goes
goes
around.
around to the back. And there's also a doorway on the side, I believe, too. So, yes, but the recommendation of both the building inspector and once we got to the handicap parking spots being in the main parking lot, wasn't to not have a sidewalk go across all the way to that particular sidewalk.
But right now, basically, the sidewalk that you put in isn't much help. It gets a person 3/4 of the way there,
Right.
So the pavers would get you across.
but it's not finished.
Well,
It's
no,
okay.
that's
It's
not finished, and
yet.
that's why we're here to discuss.
But we
which
don't
way-
want to finish it until you fix the
Well, it seems like the
driveway
simple
problem.
solution would be to do more of those pavers between where the pavers are
But-
and the
yeah,
end of
but
the
you may
sidewalk.
not have, okay, that may work, but there may be mud that comes down there and,
I think, Bob, that you should call, first of all, I think you should get in touch with, or Tim get in touch with somebody from DOT, because Boston Post Road is under the state. They should know that this is an issue for us, and they should come in and explain to you how they think they can do it, because they should pick up part of this cost. If it's ruining our park, they should do some of the cost.
When they repave it, they're supposed to redo the aprons. They're
Yeah.
responsible for the apron part of it. So-
Right, and they could have damaged it with snow plowing
Maybe a
or other
curb
things
cut.
like that. But
but originally there was absolutely no lip, you know.
I understand.
Yeah, there was
What
no
I'm
lip at
saying
all,
is-
it was flat.
But I'm saying, they are,
I guess
DOT.
your level would be, it's not just casual water coming off, it's low there and the water flows to that low spot, is what you're saying?
well, and then it
Yeah,
goes
well,
downhill.
If you have a lip on it, the water will run by it. Now it goes down it.
To the main little
Right.
pass there, the state years ago put
Right.
some sort of
Well,
drain
was
there.
I would
was
just
there-
like to make sure that what we do
There before?
is engineered,
No, but I think
to,
that there's no curb, it's just
an
an apron.
engineer involved.
Right, if that was.
If it doesn't work, we're not
and
paying
you
them.
had water flowing.
And anybody who does the work,
would the- and
again,
the state
they
didn't
screw it
put
up.
A curb.
It doesn't get paid.
To the catch-
Because those are called contracts, and if you have
There's a curb there, but then
and
it
tell
breaks
them
with the
what
driveway.
they want, they have to do it. And we have something to go back to say, but if we don't sign something, I'm assuming Tim didn't
The state,
sign any
and they're responsible for the aprons,
contract with Macnic to.
especially if they
Yeah.
repave.
That
the
was
other
all,
day.
that was all the facilities director's hands, and he said he was taking care of it.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
he's not here, I get it. I get
Yeah,
it, he's not
and-
here,
and
but,
Tom
Okay,
Meyer,
so I guess.
and Tom came into the
he
thick of
came
it.
into,
I guess
yeah.
the points we need to do is determine whether the state might have some legal responsibility for this curb cut. I mean, it sounds like
They
if
definitely
we,
have the apron.
if there was a curb which directed the water to the catch basin, let's say, and then we did a curb cut, we need to figure out whether we now become responsible for making the curb cut work, or whether they still need to make sure the water doesn't aggregate where our curb cut is and flood.
They fill in part of the remediation temporary fix, cut a little bit of the asphalt down from Route 1, I believe, just so there's a little tiny lip there now, whereas there was none before, and that was improperly installed.
They need to fix it.
And,
Well,
but it wasn't the state that did that.
I know,
It
the
was-
town did it.
But down in Soundview, when we had the problem with all the residences that are low,
Yes.
there was about an inch lip. So the pavement stopped, it went up, and then the bituminous apron went, so there
Right.
was a lip that would direct
Right.
most of the water away. If you had a huge rain, not. So then the next question would be, if we do this lip thing, if we direct it to the center of the pavers, is that going to be okay with?
I think it will be hard to do.
Land use.
In fact, Phil said that probably wouldn't work, and because if you just can imagine, it's supposed to, that apron's supposed to be straight down towards the driveway. You can see it. The apron looks like this.
We need an engineer to tell us what to do. And that's what they're paid for, and that's why they know what to do.
Yeah.
Because if you had a driveway issue,
Yes.
you wouldn't just call somebody up and say, hey, just pave this, throw a cut curb in, or whatever, right?
No, I want it properly installed.
Right, so it's not the, I'm sure that Macnic could properly install the sidewalk, but I think we need to have a problem that fixes it and not Band-Aids it.
Right.
Because we've already tried the Band-Aid approach and it didn't work.
Right.
So now we need somebody who knows what they're doing as far as that,
Well,
because we don't want to pay twice.
So you're saying you want to get an engineer to approve what should be done by a paver?
First thing is, I think we contact the state DOT and find out what they can do that they can fix on their end. And I am more than happy to put out a phone call if Tim doesn't want to, but I'm happy to reach out to somebody there.
Is that,
Well, District 2, but
I don't know if that's going to make a difference at this point, though.
Well, let's see
If
what
they
they
said it was all approved, which
I'm talking about the
ramp.
entrance, the ramp, your apron,
Yes.
from the Boston Post Road to your driveway.
Right.
I think we need to call them and say, we're having an issue, and show them what's happening.
because Anton's got it, what he thinks should be there, but we probably need to make sure that is in accordance with the specs.
Right.
Okay, well.
DOT might, we might,
Yeah.
no, but we might come out at no charge and look at it and
That would be
say,
fine,
they're in
and
that business.
and see what they say, because I agree, the right fix shouldn't be doing the Band-Aid approach. And the right fix is to get somebody to,
Well, I've got a phone number that I recently received for District 2, so, next week.
so you want to give them
Oh,
a
that's
call,
right,
see
you
if they
call
want, one of them wants to come out and take a look and see what they say would solve the problem.
Right. And then, before you do the pavilion,
Yes?
I would love to see a quote come through this board, and that we approve it, and he signs it, and then we have a signed contract with someone to do it. Okay, so it's just all on the level.
Okay.
That's the way it's supposed to be done. I mean, go through Tom. Tom can get the quotes, but you tell him what you need done and
Okay.
your size. But it's,
That would be the
No surprises.
donation money.
Yeah, that was
the
from the
pavilion
donation.
is, but it's still, we need a quote.
Yeah, well, it'll be a
We need-
town asset.
Well, we already have the quote, and we,
That's from 2021, that quote.
well,
So we need an updated quote. Material costs have gone gazillion.
yeah, okay, but we got a discount on a pavilion that we put a deposit on, but the quote
And
for,
the-
you're talking about
the pad.
The pad,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need an updated quote for that.
right, and we're gonna need also actually, a handicap accessible path only has to be 3 feet wide if it's not a sidewalk.
But at every 100 feet has to have a 5-foot cutout. So then your choices are, you either have
How
to,
far is it from the parking lot to the pavilion?
well, you've already done most of it. You've only got a little bit more. Oh, you're talking to go to the pavilion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a park that I would love you to see that has been done, and how they access their handicapped to their pavilion.
Fine, yeah.
And I would be more than happy to take a ride with you someday.
Sure.
And show you, because they've done a great
Yeah, we haven't gotten
job.
there yet because.
I know.
That's the other part. For over 4 years now, or 3 years, we've been asking for security cameras out there. And as you know, you were at one of our meetings, that the whole town is thinking about security cameras in certain places, and to make sure that
They're all
we
in
use the
sync.
best cameras, it's all in sync, the police would get it, the fire department, whatever.
Buildings.
Yeah.
Buildings, yep.
And so we're not putting a pavilion out there until we get the security cameras, because we
we're-
feel it'll be vandalized, because there's been 3 days after the restroom opened, it was vandalized.
But how many years? That was 2018.
Yeah, it's been vandalized a couple times more inside. Nasty stuff thrown around. So it would be nice because that park is
Yeah,
it's a gem.
and I'm really thrilled that you moved the pavilion, because I hated to think that we were going to lose the vista of the lake from Boston Post Road.
Yeah, well, we listened to people and we just decided, well, this will be better. And
But let me ask you a question. That pavilion that you have a deposit on?
yes,
Where is, so it's at the barnyard or whatever?
the barnyard.
Yes. So it's a deposit, but what if that one we picked isn't available anymore? Then,
Oh, it is. We've been communicating.
oh, okay.
So that price
and they're
holds?
holding to the quote.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but I just point out the problem we have. We don't want to put it out there until we get cameras, because I guarantee it will be.
Okay, so,
The vandal will
Yeah.
look at it.
so,
You're always going to have
So,
kids
I
or
guess-
two things.
So anyway,
Because-
going forward, are you going to contact a DOT
well,
guy
we'll work on that. I
to
think,
take a look at it
But
and see
I-
what can
Yeah.
be done?
I think we want to get Macnick paid before all this is
Oh, yeah.
wrapped up.
That was approved the other night
Yeah,
at Board of
No,
Finance.
well, I don't think it was.
Yes,
I think
It was left undetermined, to be honest.
No, according to,
public building, I don't know if they took a vote or not.
No,
they stopped.
It was, there was two different areas we could go with it. One was sort of that one fund, I think it was like a donation, and the other was where could we absorb it in our budget, and I think there was about 34,000, I think.
in the,
That was,
in the public building fund.
yes.
But Dave Kelsey specifically said that the paving for the sidewalk was not coming out of the donation fund.
I agree with that.
Agreed, but there
Yeah.
were like she says, there's two choices. One was Vicki Herbowitz's. She has an account that comes from activity in the town clerk's office. It's called a public building fund.
That's what I just said.
And then the other one is just, there is a account in the town budget for buildings as well. So I think maybe
We were
the
about
Vicky
to-
one would be the one.
We were about to take a vote for the public building, town building fund, and then things went a little crazy, and then Dave literally said, like, let's just hold off.
Yeah,
until
so
we have
Tuesday
more-
we can
So
revisit that, but
What I think we want to do is we want to approve that the town has to pay for
the
this.
11,000.
And we're sending it to Board of Finance to figure out where to pay it.
Yeah.
I thought the check actually the bill came in only at 9.
Sorry.
It came in at 9. It didn't come in at 11, probably because they didn't do that last little part. But
It was weird. It was
not,
I remember 11,000.
I remember 11, that's what I got.
yeah.
That's what I got from Nicole.
didn't you get,
So initially it was presented.
Well, let's say
as
not to
like-
exceed
and when they opened
11,000.
it up, like, looked
Not
at
to
it, it was
exceed.
not.
it's not,
changed.
she read off 9,900
Yeah.
something the other night.
Well, let's
at
say
Board of-
not to exceed 11,000, just so we don't have to come back.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
okay, yeah.
All right, and then, so we'll do that, then we'll speak with DOT, and then we'll maybe have a conversation with Eric about this water coming down.
Yeah.
And take those steps one at a time,
Yeah.
and then we'll have to round up some additional money. Maybe we could put that in capital, but you probably want to get that done before July 1, right?
What?
Yes, I mean, yeah, because
Well, let's see what the state can do, and then we figure
yeah,
it
let's
out
see,
from
yeah,
there.
I think that's the best
Let's
approach.
start
If you get
there.
an engineer from the state to take a look at it, would it be an engineer? Would
Well,
the-
Yeah,
DOT has
yeah.
their own engineers, they'll
Yeah,
come out.
if to get an engineer to take a look at it, when we can show them what the problem is.
Yep.
And I think I didn't measure, we're just a couple feet away from that reinforced, turf with the sidewalk.
Yeah, but once we get the drainage under control,
But if
then
you
we
get
can
the
do
drainage
that.
under control, then you have two options. You could put another piece of sidewalk in, a small piece, just to get there, or the reinforced turf.
Yep. Okay, so I think on this one, since,
Make a motion to approve paying Macnick Brothers not to exceed $11,000 for the Haynes Park sidewalk.
And I will second. And thank you
okay.
for coming and
Oh,
answering our questions.
No problem, and I'd be willing to
It's
go
just a
look at a
pro-
park with you, because
Yeah.
that's not gonna be done for a while, because this whole, I guess, Tom getting Comcast to do something to do the initial
Well,
phases.
Comcast isn't doing the cameras that we had hoped for. They've phased that project out.
Yeah, they don't,
But the cameras that are available right now,
Yeah.
according to Andy Russell at the Board of Finance, he said
Yes.
it now twice at a meeting, they are not worth their salt, and they don't get clear images, and there's no reason to put good money into a bad
I
camera.
think Tom Meyer told me that he did find a good camera somewhere, because as Tim and I actually,
Well,
we
and
I think-
formally spoke to
and
Tom, we
can-
want to get whatever's the best
The IT,
technology.
I think the IT group is working
Yeah,
on that.
Connecticut Computers involved.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, because, of course, you want to get the best cameras you can at this point, because 5 years from now, they won't be the best cameras.
Right,
Probably 2 years.
Look what happened with TVs, Jesus.
goes up.
All right, we have
Okay,
a-
we're all
Bob,
set?
thank you.
We have a
Okay,
motion on the
thank you
floor.
for-
Oh, we have a motion. Sorry.
Oh, you had the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you for your 5
Okay,
minutes.
And thanks for having me.
Okay.
Not 5 minutes, let me say.
Well, there's a lot of other discussions.
totally
Now, my
teasing
part
you.
was a little over 5
I'm
minutes.
totally teasing you.
Yeah, I just, well, you want to make sure everyone really understands. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys,
Thank
thanks a
you.
lot.
Hey, thank you.
All right, next up, we have the human resource.
All right.
And we have, Maria is going to talk to us about, just give a little background on it.
Yes, so in light of some of the things that have been happening on the human resource side of things, I reached out to Jeff Knapp, who does your health insurance through One Digital. And they provide a service, which is basically a human resource outsource, essentially, that they can consult, they can advise, they can recruit, they can read through resumes, they can really handle remotely. I found out that they would not be able to place somebody in-house, but they can remotely handle almost anything you need them to do. They can come to do something here at the town if need be for a day or two. So if there's something like, I think Timmy may have mentioned onboarding some new hires as that might be coming up soon, they're able to do things like that. But anything you need them to do, which is there's no cost because you're part of the One Digital family with the health insurance, they can advise on. And I found the conversation with Jane, her name is Jane, extremely helpful, and I thought it might be worthwhile for you to have a conversation with her too.
And her name is Jane?
Her name is Jane, and I didn't catch her last name. I have it, but I just didn't catch it. But she's from One Digital, and she's part of the human resource team there.
And they have an hourly rate for their services?
There's no cost to you because you're part of the One Digital family through Jeff Knapp and the health insurance component. So they have different facets of what they do at One Digital, and one of them is a human resource like advisory committee, for lack of a better word. And they've got lots of different people on that committee. I asked them specifically about things like, do they do resume writing or resume reviews, and do they do interviews? So if we have a good prospect for something like a HR generalist, which I think would be a good idea, they can help us weed through resumes. They can help us search candidates. They can help interview qualified candidates and really be able to drill down our needs and match it with that individual skill set and work for placement. So there's lots of
Would they be able to do an advertisement, for instance?
Yep, I can work with her on that for sure. She did ask me if there was a job description, and I said that I'm sure we had one. So if I can get my hands on that, I can get that over to Jane, and she can tweak it, modify it a little bit. She did want to have a greater discussion about what we thought our needs were. I gave her a very broad overview, and she's excellent. She's been doing it for a while. And my background is also in human resources. I was an HR director for many years in Massachusetts, also an HR generalist for a long time. My background now is mostly in benefit administration, but I did everything from human resource recruiting to budget management. There's a lot of things I did years ago that I still do now. I just specialize a little bit more in benefit administration.
So I think it would be a great idea if we could get Jane to come to our March meeting. meanwhile, get her the job description beforehand, so that
Yeah.
she comes back with ideas of what she'd want to tweak,
Present it to us
and
yeah.
and then tell us about their services.
Right.
So could
Yes.
you set that up?
Sure.
I can work with you to set that up for sure.
Would she come down?
I'm sure she would.
Where's she based?
In West Hartford. So I'm sure she would come down and discuss more about the services that are available and how we can best work with her or partner with her.
Does it sound like we could have, like, you said they could maybe have someone come once a week if we really...
Yeah, so I did ask about that, and she said they don't ordinarily do physical on-site placement. I was really hoping that they would. Jeff thought that they could. So I was kind of going off of what he had said. But after further discussing it with her, so much is done like Zoom and email, and they have a staff that she's working with and managing to meet needs, again, like resume reviews and advisory committees for everything from disgruntled issues, all of that. And she was very confident that all that could be done remotely, and then if there was a specific instance where she would need to come down, that could be handled as well. So I think it would be on a case-by-case basis, but to physically have somebody here day-to-day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's just not feasible.
But this would be a good temporary fix until we...
Yeah.
I think it would be an
They could help us
excellent
find the
temporary.
replacement.
yeah.
How many individuals are in this group besides Jane and another person?
Good ask.
It's funny, like I know that there's a whole 401k and auditing team. I know there's a benefits team. I know there's an HR team. But I didn't really ask you, well, how many folks are in the HR team? And I mean, Jane assured me that that they work with lots of different size of clients. I think the way that she summed it up was that, you know, it's not feasible just to have one person in human resources anymore. She's like, Maria, there are so many facets to HR now with compliance issues and just so many things that you might have a good generalist, but that generalist really does need to have a added valued resource, and that's what they can provide, is that added value resource. And I agree with her. I mean, I'm working with a client now. They've got 7 people on their HR team.
So
Yeah.
the nicest part is if we had someone in-house, they could still use
A
this.
resource.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can get somebody she actually suggested getting somebody who had a good general HR knowledge, but no significant area of expertise in the idea that like a director level or manager level in HR is probably going to get bored for 35 people working here. She said you need...
You won't be bored forever.
Yeah. But she said that, you know, find somebody who's really good, who's eager to learn, and they'll take their own initiative. And she's like, and we can help them, guide them, manage them along the way, and they'd be a really good, valued person to the team.
Because we have, one thing that we have coming up is we have some seasonal hires.
Mm-hmm.
So we have police, rangers, which need to be signed up probably, May or early May?
Yeah, and then you got Park and Rec.
Well, Park and Rec's a big one.
A lot of them are returning, so it's the new ones I think you have to worry
Well,
about, right?
I don't know what kind of forms we need.
Yeah.
So we could use, I don't know, we might need somebody to help under that direction or something, handle that, but that's coming around pretty quickly, so.
Well, Park and Rec payroll is always done. It's just more filling out your forms for your payroll.
Yeah.
That one's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And probably the rangers are the same thing, but if you hire somebody with more professional.
Yeah, if we could possibly get that local person on site, because time is of the essence in terms of some of these
Well, if we get
busy
an
things.
application out, maybe somebody will want the job.
Yeah, she did say, get me a job description. She's like, and I can make modifications and we can get the ball rolling with that very quickly. I also spoke with her about compensation, how much, there's a range, but we can talk about that also as resumes come in.
Yeah.
But she was a wealth of knowledge, and I think that we would be remiss not to utilize her services because, number one, they're free, and I think that we could use the help. That would be great.
She has room on her dance card for that?
Yeah, I think she does.
Okay, so
I
great.
could probably scan to you the job description.
Okay, perfect. That would be great, and I'll get it off to her and schedule a call. Obviously, you're all, you know, if you can all be on the call, I think that would be wonderful before she actually comes out here. I think her coming out here is important, but I also think if we want to get the ball rolling as quickly as possible, I think it would be a good idea to have a
Or
call.
we can if we have questions we want to ask, we can send them to her or...
Yeah.
In advance?
Yeah,
Or meet,
Yeah.
talk to her individually.
Yeah.
Because if
The
we
meeting.
meet together, it's a meeting.
Okay.
Did have a meeting with Randy, Frank via Zoom one day with a special meeting to discuss her project. But
Yeah.
I mean, we could do something
Yeah.
like, there's a Zoom that I can be a part of, and you can walk in for 20 minutes, you can walk in for 20 minutes. I mean, like, you know, we
Just
could,
do a special meeting, know it's going to be like a half-hour meeting or something or whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
figure it out.
or if she can come in March, then we could answer everything, depending what our March thing. But let's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to meet her.
yeah.
Zoom is fine.
No, she's great.
Yeah.
And I think you should definitely meet her. But I just think that if there's needs that are more pressing, I think we should get that ball rolling. Like, I would hate to wait for March to get
Right.
a job description out there. You know what I mean?
No, I think Tim should send that to her now, and
Yep.
then we can get it posted.
Shall I just send it to you first?
Yeah, send it to me. I'll get it right over to her, and then she may tweak it or kind of restructure a little bit, and I'll get that back, and then I'll let y'all take a look at it. And then again, you can change it or modify it any way that you want to. I just think it's important to have a resource that's
Because she could advise us on how best to advertise such a thing.
Yeah.
We think the Day newspaper was,
No, that's a waste.
they have a lot of ads, but I guess we also use CCM, you know, Conference of Connecticut Municipalities.
But they do recruiting too, so they might know somebody or also know someone and this
Yeah.
person should apply type of thing, so.
Well, and, you know, we can always use Zoom to weed out people. I mean, it's a great, I mean,
a great tool.
Look, kids today, when they get their first jobs, that's their first interviews, or all 2 or first 3 interviews are done by Zoom.
Yeah.
Have a
And
coat
then-
and tie here and shorts down here.
Yeah, I do that all day long, actually. Although today I had Fenway on my lap.
Maria, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate your time helping out.
You could just loop us all in, because then that way, we're not playing catch-up when
Yeah.
we see her.
Yeah, that's great.
Does she have a company name?
She's part of One Digital.
One digital.
One Digital?
Yep, she's part of One Digital, which is, again, part of your benefits team, really. I mean, they have lots of value-added resources, but this is the human resource division of
I
One
think
Digital.
it might be sensible to have a motion to engage.
Well, we're not engaging anything, because there's no fee.
Yeah. just don't spend
I think,
any
and we
money.
have to talk to her first, so if we have to sign some type of agreement, let's
All
talk to
right,
her first.
well, we can,
Because-
all right, we won't do the motion, we'll make a note that we're going to have her come before us and
Right, great.
from there.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
All right.
Actually,
Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if she's unable to do something, like physically come, then we'll just Zoom her through. We'll like,
right,
Yeah.
for the meeting.
yes, I think that might be a good way to kind
Yeah,
of everyone,
nowadays,
everyone's
you know,
sincere and
Hour
stuff.
drive each way, you know, yeah.
You know, but she's very helpful and I think it's good match.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
Have a good night.
All right.
Okay, the next item is the Bow Bridge recommendation, and I think we were aware that there was a meeting with the committee, at which point they made the recommendation that they're going to engage.
AI.
Yeah, they're using the community initiative grant money. There would be the AI engineering out of Middletown, and
Tim, do you
Yeah.
remember which presentation they were, 1, 2, or 3?
there were 3.
3.
Oh, they
Number
were
3.
third. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So their fee is $148,500. We made the suggestion that in addition to the base fee, we should have a contingency amount. So I made the suggestion that there be $15,000 as a contingency, which would make the total requirement $163,500. The community initiative grant is $135,000. Now, I believe, and you can back me up on this, but because this is coming out of the account, let's say, for community initiative, I don't think we have to appropriate money in the budget. So
That's right.
essentially what we would be doing is doing the net amount.
28.5.
Yep. Now, that, of course, is in excess of the 20,000 that the Board of Finance can do. So there are a couple of choices. You could cut 8,500 out of it, but I think that we really should probably have a reserve. So we could recommend to the Board of Finance that we would be recommending the 163.5. There would be on the source side of the equation, it'd be 135,000 from the recovery, and then the town would be responsible to allocate 28,500. I tried to get out of Edie how quickly the funds would be needed. Of course, until it's approved, probably the firm would be on good faith to start the project because they don't have a deal. You know, they wouldn't be signing stuff. The earliest, well, unless we did a special town meeting, the next actual town meeting is, I think, May 15th, the budget meeting. So,
But, Tim, they could start with the money that they have from ARPA, the 135 with ARPA. I mean, that money is available. I mean, they could put a deposit on it because that's their money to do this project with.
right, yeah.
So they could,
I
I know
guess,
you don't want to sign the contract, but couldn't we just take, you said you had a 15K contingency, but what if we just took 8,500 out of that and made it a $6,500, am I right on that? A $6,500 contingency. That'll keep Board of Finance at 20,000.
yeah, you could then augment it later if
And then if
everyone thought it would,
need be, we could go,
or put it in the budget.
yeah, you could give her a contingency line in the budget under that.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, if we recommended the 148,500 for the actual bid, and then we're going to go with, let's see, so we take plus 20, so it'd be at, let's see,
20,000.
168.5 less 135.53.
Is it 168 or 163? I thought it was 163.
148.5
Yeah.
plus,
Oh, that's theirs. Okay. And you wanted it to go to 163 with a 20.
so we have to have, we have to have 20 for the Board of Finance,
Yeah.
which gives you, no, this isn't,
Okay, so it's the project itself is
no, yeah,
148.
one,
You would like them to have 168. We can't, so we need
Well-
to do 168, subtracting the
So we got-
one,
we got 135, let's say.
yeah, 3. So that would,
13.5 would be to get you beyond, and then we could add 6.5 to get to the 20.
68. So if you take the 168 and you subtract the 135 they have from ARPA, you're left with $33,000.
We take the 148.5, take off the 135 grant,
Yeah,
that means the town needs to come up with 13.5.
okay.
To get to 20,000, we could add 6.5 more,
And that would be
the
their,
contingency.
for right now.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. Which is what I think I said at the beginning, but I'm
So-
not sure anymore.
So we gotta make,
So 155.5 minus the one, I'm sorry, right?
well,
Because we're going with
we're
the
talking
six-
apples and oranges, we're talking the grant, so if the sum is 148.5 and the grant's 135,
Right.
the town needs to cover 13.5. But because we can go up to 20 with the Board of Finance, we could add 6.5
Right.
to be the contingency.
Yep.
Right, so that's 100 and, yeah.
So you need a motion to just approve the 20,000, which is the
Recommend,
third,
yeah.
recommend to the Board of Finance.
Well, I think we ought to do the whole thing in terms of saying we think we should accept that.
Oh, yes.
We accept
Right.
the 148. We also recommend that the Board of Finance add 6,500
Contingency.
as a contingency. And that we know that there's 135,000 coming from ARP. So the net cost at that point would be 6,500 to the town. The ARPA money would be
135.
And we'd have an overall approval for the 148.5 plus the 6.5 contingency. That would be the total spend.
So moved.
Got all that in there, Suzanne?
The trouble is we're moving from the spending side to the income
Revenue.
side and trying to make it all be separate, so.
But it's a full recommendation to the board. Are you accepting the 100?
We are,
Yeah,
we are moving, we're recommending to the Board of Finance.
well, we're going to approve the 148.5 to AI Engineering
Plus
to
recommending
bridge
6,500 contingency.
And, okay,
along with 6,500 contingency.
Okay.
and the overage.
And then we also, and
It's
then,
a 20, it's really a 20,000, a 6,500 contingency and then 13,500 in overage fees? Suzanne's
right.
got it, Jim?
Yeah,
Matt's
right.
working on the computer here.
Yeah, so the 13.5 would be the town share of
Yep.
the expense after the grant. And the 6.5 would be the contingency.
Contingency.
So the town amount would be $20,000.
Okay,
And we would be drawing 135 from the approved
initial.
list already.
yep,
So I'll help, I'll help you with that.
Matt's going to
I
make the
motioned it.
motion, I will second it, and we are thrilled that they'll be doing a breast. Oh, we got to vote.
See back. Yeah. Okay, and that would we keep it within the Board of Finance, and we could say that we
And then if
we
you,
think the contingency might be wise to be higher than that, so we can deal with that later.
I don't think they've done their budget, we haven't gone through their budget yet, committees and commissions.
No, but
So we can-
that could be put into their budget, which would take effect on July 1st. So
Right, that would give them,
assuming that this design work will not eat up the money we're providing now before July 1st, that could kick in as a budget.
right,
And we
Okay.
could maybe have Edie talk to AI and see what the cash flow is going to be.
All right, so we got to vote?
Yeah,
Motion, she second.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
aye,
Very good.
very
Okay.
excited to see what they come up with.
Next one is the Mystic Air Quality invoice, which the Senior Center Building Committee has received to perform a pre-demolition asbestos inspection. We have an invoice, but because they went a little early on actually engaging the company, we don't have the funds approved as yet. So it was recommended at the Board of Finance that the Selectmen consider this. I would say that this is probably not the only miscellaneous invoice that will be coming along before the
Big one.
yeah, before the construction. There's just going to be a lot of little stuff, I'm sure. So this would at least take care of this initially. Whether the Board of Finance, because we talked about this when we had a meeting up in Lyme,
Right.
about, this isn't the only one. So obviously we're doing 75-25 with Lyme, but
So is this our 75%?
no,
No, this is the full bill.
we have to pay the full thing, so we're going to show it as full, and then they'll be billed
Right.
afterward. So the question might be, I don't know that anybody can predict what amount might be required between now and the magic date. I know that there are bills approved, there's money approved for point 1. I do not believe that there is anything that's set aside for expenses such as this. So we might talk to the Board of Finance how they might want to handle that, but if we said, just pick a number, 15,000 or whatever, whether it's used or not, we don't know, but we don't want to have to come back. And I think once you appropriate money to something the second time you do it, you have to go to a town meeting.
Right.
So my only question would be is, let's say there was $15,000 contingency for these little
It's
expenses.
interim period.
Right. They're still going to come and get for approval.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, we have to impress that, because
Yeah.
this was talked about, and we all nodded our heads saying this is a good idea, but we didn't specify
Yeah.
it needs to be approved, kind of like
Yeah.
over here.
Right.
So we can tell the building committee that we believe there'll be more of these, and stay within bounds, 15,000, whatever the Board of Finance think is necessary. We would think it would be wise to have an appropriation by the town of Old Lyme for that, with all the caveats of reimbursement.
So why don't we make a motion tonight to approve an amount up to 15,000?
Recommend.
Recommend an amount up to 15,000, and if the Board of Finance feels that it should be less, at least we've got a threshold, and then they can always lower it.
Do we want to say in the motion that to include,
Yes.
which includes the $1,235 bill that we have from Mystic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll make a recommendation, motion, a recommendation?
You have a motion to recommend to the Board of
Okay,
Finance?
motion to recommend to the Board
To-
of Finance an amount up to $15,000 for incidental costs related to senior center project, and including paying the bill for Mystic Air Quality for $1,235.
I will second that.
Okay. You have that, okay? Very. Up to 15,000. All right. Good. Let's see, the next item is the tax office assistant. When we engaged Suzanne Thompson, it was for a period from December 16th to the 17th of February. That was to get us through the tax crunch. She's now on vacation, so Matt can definitely amplify on the need for an assistant. I think when we went out on our website, I think Suzanne was the only person who submitted an application. I think Suzanne has had a steep learning curve, and it's still steep, and so...
Yeah, and I guess just by being in there helping out last couple of weeks, trying to straighten some stuff out, and talking to some other people in different towns and even just different departments in the office here, there's different options. I think we definitely still need an assistant. I mean, we can extend Suzanne another month, and then, put it out there again and see if there's any more people. But I also know some towns have certified assistants and an elected tax collector. So that's a possibility.
Yeah.
or,
And when you say a certified assistant, does that come with some type of certification?
yeah, they have to take classes and, yep, yeah. Yeah, so sometime, I think, I was talking to Melinda, the assessor, and she was explaining, like, I think it was East Lyme, has a certified assistant, and the tax collector's elected.
So what kind of coursework's required for this?
It's like you become like a certified tax, it's like, I don't know, I just found out about it
Kind
today.
of like, it's like the classes that you take to be a town clerk as well.
Yeah.
To become certified as a town clerk.
So if you wish to hire one, somebody would need that credential to come in.
Right.
You could do it on the job, I suppose, too, but,
Right.
Well, you could also make it part of their employment to say that you're going to pursue this. And we could certainly talk to CCM to say how long does it take to become a certified, but ask that become part of their thing. And if they become it and they pass accordingly, then we could perhaps do a rate increase for the next year because they would have gone through the program.
Does it go through the Tax Collectors Association or something?
I think it has some certification, some, national organization, I think.
Because like Mickey did the assessor's technician.
Yep. Right.
And they do the Casio stuff upstairs.
Right. So similar to that.
And Courtney took the coursework two
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
So it's just a different option. I definitely think we need to extend Suzanne for another month if she wants to. I don't see why she wouldn't. She seems, we need to have someone in there. I think January and February is still not busy, but it's just an overlap from January. Yeah.
cleaning up.
And there's a lot of little cleanup,
So I would, I think it's a good idea to extend Suzanne, but I think for hiring and legal purposes, I think it would be a good idea to put it back up just on our website.
Yep.
And for a week or 10 days or whatever you want, and then see if anyone else applies. We go from
Well, should
there.
we give Suzanne like a month and then get this other thing going on the website?
You can
We can
extend,
do it at the same time,
Yes,
just see if there's any other interest. And
extend her a month, but post it next week.
yeah.
And
Yeah, because
then,
it'll take time to,
Yeah.
and if we put not mandatory, but desirable, we could get the language for this certified assistant.
Yeah, experience in QDS is the software that they use, and
certification is a plus.
Yeah, certification, whatever the acronym is a plus.
I guess you could say it will ultimately be a requirement. So if there was a bright penny, not saying denigrating Suzanne, but somebody, we might hire someone with the same idea that if we can't find anybody with that in our radius, we could say whoever has good aptitude for this, that they would.
We recommend that they get the certification.
Well,
I think it's because it teaches them all the state requirements, what has to happen, issues with DMV for your taxes, what has to be reported. It talks to you about mortgages and how they're supposed to pay out their taxes as well. I think it's a good idea. I'm all for education.
okay.
So you would I'll make a motion we think we should do this in two motions. First, do we make a motion to extend Suzanne Thompson's part-time assistant in the tax collector's office until March 15th? Do you want it longer?
Yeah, no, I think I'll second that. No. I'll wait till you do.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll second that one.
That's us. MSMW. Okay.
Take a vote.
Any other discussion on it?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Next one, we'll talk about the more permanent position.
So we'll make a motion to post the position
I think
and,
we would want to make the position ultimately a certified tax assistant or whatever the verbiage is.
Yep.
And that during the month, we would be posting on our website an advertisement for such a person, or if a person doesn't have that certification, a commitment to get it done in a reasonable time to get the certification would be acceptable, something like that.
Yeah. So we're going to post, I'll recommend that we make a motion to post the certified the tax collector's assistant position on our website in town, and to also review a certified tax assistant certification, to possibly pursue that in the future for future employees.
A second.
Well, wait a minute, that second part is what now again?
Certified tax assistant.
We're going to post, we'll post the position as it is right now, as a tax assistant. Well, no, we have to review the paperwork first.
Right, we might have to add the job description, say.
I'm going to amend my motion.
Sorry.
Scratch that.
What if we said the town will post an advertisement for a certified tax collector
after, not a certified tax collector.
Well, whatever they are.
Yeah, tax office
collector's assistant.
Yeah.
After reviewing the language for the current job description, after revising, because we have to add that to that job position, job posting.
Okay, well, we could say we'll bring our job description to conform to this requirement, but do we want to also have in there that should we not have any candidates that are certified, we would be willing to employ such a person?
Well, that's why in the bottom of the thing you put it, we'd love one who has it, but if not, would you be willing to pursue it?
Right, but in the motion, I guess we would want to say that we're not going to require that as a...
I didn't say require, I said we were going to revise the description to include the language that would be necessary.
Certified it. What was it?
But we want to get something as soon as we...
Certified preferred, but if you aren't certified, you are willing to be certified within a certain time frame.
Yeah,
they're just like going to
certification is a
police
plus.
school up in Meriden.
Right.
But if you're willing to pursue the certification, we would still love to talk to you.
No, we may have to work that.
The language is going to have to, on the job description, is going to have to just need some wording.
Well,
that's why I just said revising.
But the motion, I think the sense of the motion is we want to post an advertisement for the certified person, and if there isn't such a person that responds, we would be willing to employ the person, provided they are to take steps to get certified.
Willing to meet the
reasonable time.
And I would like this posted by next month, Friday, because next Friday is March 3rd.
Right.
And if Suzanne, we only extend her to the 15th, that's cutting it.
Or maybe we should go longer with her.
Well, we might.
I think we should do a month.
Well, the 17th is when she technically ended, so you could go...
Have you asked her if she's...
Go to end of March, maybe.
March 31st. We'll amend that motion.
Was it you or...
I'll amend the motion to extend...
Wait a minute, who made the motion?
You made the motion.
So
she has to amend it.
Ward made the motion.
It's a friendly amendment, we're going to change it.
Matt made the motion. I took it down, didn't you?
No, Martha made the motion to extend Suzanne Thompson's
I'm MS.
part-time assistant position to March 15th.
All right, so we're going to amend that to
March 31st.
March 31.
March 31. But I really would like our thing because we have a tendency to drag a little, won't we? We just got to put the foot to the metal.
Oh, yeah.
Pedal to the metal here.
Well, okay, so let's vote on the amendment to the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Okay, now back to the number 2. So the sense of that, I think, is that we would advertise for a whatever the wording, proper wording is, but certified tax collector's assistant. And if a person does not have the designation, then we would possibly accept the application with the provision that the person would become certified within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second. I don't know where we are with this, but okay.
Yeah.
And it's first year, I will look up the program, and if you look up the language.
Yes.
And then we'll
Yep.
get this to you.
Yep.
So that we'll have it. And we'll know what it will entail. Okay?
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Last, we have the police rifle recommendation. During the Board of Finance, or the budget submitted by resident trooper Weber, he included, along with the getting new Glock pistols, 10 of them, he included 9 patrol rifles, .223 rifles.
Like AR-15.
And I think that the discussion at the Board of Finance was to have the Board of Selectmen look that capital portion of the budget over. And I think there was a sense that probably rifles for the full-time people plus a spare would be sensible. So if we have a billet for 6 full-time, you think it would be wise to budget for 6 full-time, Matt?
Yeah, I think 6 full-time, 1
Plus
spare.
one.
That,
Be total of 7?
Could be for a spare or could be shared by the part-time officer.
Right. And at the moment, we do not have that 6th person anyway.
Correct.
So we recommend to the Board of Finance that we proceed with the 10 Glock pistols, but that we reduce the number of rifles from 9 to 7. And I don't think they asked us for opinions on the other stuff. That was fairly okay.
Right, and I just want to reiterate the Glock part of it, the cost of that is, it's almost a wash because they're buying back our old guns as well. So they buy back the old guns.
The Glocks, yeah.
Or the current guns we have. They buy them back.
So I have a question.
Yep.
These rifles.
Yep.
I know you said that you secure yours in your trunk of your vehicle.
Yep.
What happens if you have an SUV?
They told us that.
In my SUV, in the SUV I have for Deep River, I have a drawer that comes out that's lockable.
So would we have to do something to our SUVs to make that possible?
I think there's I'm not sure of the proposal as far as some of them have like a locking mechanism inside. You mount something so you can't unlock it.
Okay.
I don't know what the proposal is.
I don't know if it goes into it.
I don't know what you do.
We'll say what it includes.
Ticket, patrol rifles. I earmarked 15 to properly equip Old Lyme officers with rifles. Our officers are required to respond without hesitation to any active shooter incident. I don't think anyone can argue the fact that their officers must have the proper tools for the job. I will forward the final quote when received. This is crucial we get this approved, this budget. So I don't think he has anything in here.
Okay.
It's
And
14,000.
that's for the rifles, but I'm concerned that we
That's
are...
the rifles and the ammo, I think.
How many SUVs would we have to outfit if there was some type of...
Well,
Matt's probably already has it, right, for his estate?
yeah.
So his is done. Who else drives the SUVs?
I think we have I think everyone has an SUV, and we have a spare. 2 of the spares are Dodge Chargers. So you would probably want to. I mean, you could put it in the trunk of the Charger. So you don't think anything extra there. But I can find out about the mounting, we'll talk about mounting.
Is it like a tonneau cover that's metal that closes down in case
I
they
don't
break the
know.
window?
Well, mine is, it's in the back, the one I have at Deep River is a drawer. You can't open the drawer, like, it's locked, and you try to pull it out.
And this is in your trunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the SUV. I don't know.
So it has to be fastened to the chassis, fastened to the body?
Yeah.
Right, but it's not necessarily fastened, because I have to lift it up to get out, to get to my spare tire. So, I mean, it's fastened somewhat, but it's not like in there.
It's not permanent.
No.
You can move it if you have to.
Well, they can talk
But they
to,
also don't want shifting around. I'm just saying that
yeah,
it
they
could
probably
be,
have a sponge rubber thing you put the rifle in.
Tim, I just think that you need to call him and say, we know there's gonna have to be accommodations made for the vehicles.
Yep.
And this isn't in this, is that part of the 14,000?
I think it's in our budget book, I don't know.
I think it has to be, yeah, because that's a lot just for the
Well,
rifle.
I don't know. Well, that was for 9. Now we're
Yeah,
down.
but 9, say it's 10, that's 1,400 apiece. Do you know what they run?
Well, I think it comes, if you got the quotes from like the other departments have, that includes a flashlight, a carrying case, like a shoulder strap, but I can
Why would you
confirm
need a
that.
carrying case? Just to go to the range or something?
Well, to put it in your car with too, like mine's in a carrying case in my locked.
But wouldn't the locker have, like you see guns?
Well, there's
cases?
different types of lockers. There's ones that like are on the back of the car that like, you press a button and it unlocks. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you snap it in, like DEP. Like their rifles are right next to them in their car, and like you just hit a button and the thing opens and you grab it and you go.
I wish, can we just,
Well,
can we just call him and just get the information so that we know? Because I hate to say, okay, yeah, this is all right, but then find out in 3 months that we have to do something to the cars that we didn't budget for.
well, capital's a far way out, I mean.
Okay. We always want to put
That's
it.
not, but
We
is
can
that,
have him,
is that gonna
second
come
up.
under capital?
Yeah, that's what it did come in the capital.
All right.
All right, I'll get clarification. We won't vote on it tonight, and
We won't vote tonight, we'll,
yeah. Okay.
but we'll vote at the March meeting, and then
Yeah.
we'll have more information, okay?
Yep. Sorry. Okay.
You good, Tim?
all right, we'll postpone it. But I think
Thank
we
you.
can report back that we're
Reviewing it. Yeah.
positively disposed toward the idea, we just need to get better numbers. Since it's a special meeting, there's no other items to be considered, so we may,
Make a motion to adjourn.
6,
12.
7,
Well, I have.
yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Very well.